One day at a time, I think.
I know how it goes. No, it was nice. So, no, he knows. He's not.
Everybody knows. Never mind. Thank you. Is there anything you need to go back to? I just wanted to double check. You're welcome. Just before we get started, if anybody here would like to speak tonight, there's a sign-up book in the back. And if you could just put your name, fill out the information in there, and then we'll get you down here to speak. And the first public session is about tonight's agenda items only. And then there's a second public comment section that's at the end of the meeting where you can speak about anything. So if you have any plans, just to help us be organized, the book is in the back. And you can just go fill it out, and we would appreciate that. Thank you. We're just waiting for one person in particular before we get started. So I apologize for the delay.
I should have put my glasses on when I was,
Oh. I'm sorry.
We're good.
Oh, we're not waiting for anybody. I'm sorry. So I apologize. I apologize for that.
This one? No.
Check one. Okay.
Oh, he put the mic in. Okay, I was gonna tell him to put the mic in.
Are we ready? Okay, thank you. And I'm on the wrong page already. Okay. Call to order. If everybody could please join us as Mr. Tom Kelly leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag over here. Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. We do have a couple of things under our superintendent's report tonight. So, Dr. Massera.
Thank you, Mr. Maxwell. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening. Happy holidays to everyone. We're going to start to help us get in the mood here of the holidays with a holiday quartet we have from our high school. So I want to introduce 4 members of our high school band, Stephen Buff, Alexander Babzian, Spencer Buff, and Nicholas Gentile. And they are going to be playing an arrangement of Winter Wonderland that actually was composed by Andrew Gentile, Nick's dad. So take it away, boys. Thank you so much, and I think you can see why we are again recognized as one of the best communities for music education. So thank you, gentlemen, for being here. You really are an inspiration to all of us. Wonderful, wonderful time.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, our next presentation is one that I think that certainly is something that really deserves some attention. Recently we had a presentation about the School of Distinction recognition that we received at St. Aloysius, and that recognition is a substantial recognition. And in my comments at the time, I talked a little bit about how our students, our varsity athletes, are getting it done on the field, but they're getting it done in the classroom. And that's how you get such a prestigious award. And I think it was important, and it was a strong message to the younger students that were in the audience. And one of the points I tried to make was that, we had, not only were we a school of distinction, but we had 4 coaches that were recognized as Coaches of the Year by the Suffolk County Coaches Association. But we also have an athletic director that's an inspiration. And as the board knows, and as our community knows, because we've done the presentations, we have placed mental health wellness as a goal, a standalone goal, in our Board of Education goals. And mental health wellness is something that really is infused in all we do. It's what we talk about a lot. I'll be doing a presentation shortly after this that is going to talk about, it's going to build the case for why mental health and social emotional learning is so important in schools, and it's going to talk a little bit about the struggles that kids are having. Prior to the pandemic, I was kind of going around the county and actually throughout the state talking about the decrease in in-person social interaction and the increase in social media use and how that was having detrimental effects on kids. And we were seeing just pandemic levels of mental health issues amongst our students. Well, the board saw fit to make those standalone goals, and a person that clearly has embraced that, and since I met him when I came in 3 years ago as superintendent, Jeremy Thode is somebody that I connected with about these kinds of mental health issues. So Jeremy chose to spend his Thanksgiving very different than the rest of us. I had maybe about an hour or so of time with Jeremy on Thanksgiving Day because I walked from the Longwood High School to the Sachem East High School. And we talked the entire way. Over the course of Jeremy's 300-mile journey to bring attention to mental health issues facing children, tried to check in with him every day, and I watched him struggle at times, and I saw things change, facing the elements, facing the miles and the toll it was taking on his body and his emotional state. But I think it was critical for him to go through that, because that was the point of it. The point of it was that when Jeremy needed somebody to step up and walk with him, there was always somebody there. And I think at the end, when Jeremy came into Center Moriches, and when there were students walking with him from West Hampton, I walked with him from West Hampton, there were friends walking with him from West Hampton, but when he got to Center Moriches and got to the firehouse, and hundreds of people got in behind him and made that last mile of his journey, I think he put an exclamation point on his message, that no one should have to walk alone, that there's always somebody that will be there to support you, and you just need to ask for help. So we have a couple of things we'd like to show. I kind of told Jeremy, this wasn't about Jeremy, this was about mental health issues. But I said to Jeremy the other day, I said, we're going to recognize you, and you have to be there, you have to come. And you might be a little embarrassed, but you did something extraordinary. And it's not just me saying it, it's not just our Board of Education, most importantly, the kids said. And so I'm going to show a couple of videos. The first one is a video that we put together on his journey. I would encourage you to go onto our website, it is on our website, and take a closer look. After the board meeting, it seems we're having a little trouble with the color on here, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you could play that first video. This is basically a kind of encapsulates Jeremy's journey from the start all the way through, but I think you'll get a flavor for it. So, Leonard, if you really, Jeremy, just such an incredible journey. Seeing you go through that, really, it was so inspirational. And as I said, that journey coming around the end there, when all the people in the Center Mauritius, even those that walked outside of Buckley's and held a beer up to you, it was really, really special, and placed that emphasis, that exclamation point on that idea of not walking alone. You know, and that idea, you know, 300 miles, 7 days, one mission. It really is about pulling back the veil and saying that, hey, mental health issues are real, and that without mental health, there is no help. So for doing that, Jeremy, we thank you. We have another video, and Len, I'm going to ask you to put the volume up a little because we want to be able to definitely hear the kids on this one. Because there's a video that CMTV put together, and it features some of our students and their thoughts about your journey.
Thank you, Mr. Thode, for doing the walk. It was super inspirational walking the last 10 miles. Thank you, Mr. Thode, for everything that you did. You really inspired the whole Suffolk County and Center Mauritius.
Hey, Mr. Thode, thank you so much for your positive reinforcement for people who suffer from mental illness all around Long Island.
Thank you, Mr. Thode, for doing the walk. It was very inspirational to the students here in Center. Thank you, Mr. Thode. The walk was very inspirational.
Thank you so much for your positive reinforcement.
Mr. Thode, I think I speak for everyone when I say you are an incredibly inspirational person, and what you did a couple weeks ago is absolutely amazing, and inspired and inspirational. And Mr. Thode, I think I speak for everyone when I say you are an incredibly inspirational person, and what you did a couple weeks ago is absolutely amazing, and inspired and inspirational. Mr. Thode, I think I speak for everyone when I say you are an incredibly inspirational person, and what you did a couple weeks ago. Thank you.
So just some words from some of the children in our schools, some of the students. Clearly, Jeremy, I think you've touched a lot of people. You brought awareness to an issue that's just so important. At this time, Jeremy, I'd like to ask you to come up here, and I'd also like to introduce an important member of our community and supporter of our schools, and that's Senator Anthony Palumbo, to make a presentation to Jeremy.
Good to see you. I'll do it here so we can hear if this is on. So, this is something, I know you didn't do this for the accolades, and I actually had someone, when you were being recognized previously here, Heckman, who's a rock star. The Heckmans are long-time favorites, so I know they would usually rather see a Heckman than a politician, right? But I just wanted to acknowledge this. Obviously, mental health was a big component of this. In my district, I was in the assembly for 7 years before I ran for Senate. And I've been in the Senate now just for this year. This is my first term. But we had on the North Fork of Long Island, which obviously you hit near the end, and on the East End, we only didn't have intermediate mental health services. So our issues were that you either had a hospital setting, you go to CPAP at Stony Brook, or you have maybe a school nurse. So we implemented through legislation and a North Fork and South Fork mental health initiative. So that's always been something that's been near and dear to my heart. I'm a year older than you, but I did read the articles about how your daughter, I have a 14-year-old daughter as well, it said the same thing, like really that. But I went to Patchogue Medford, I played football, ice hockey, baseball. I played baseball at Lafayette College. 20 pounds ago, I was all Patriot League. So, you know, there's an athletic aspect to this as well, where I know that that's part of your awareness as well, that, you know, sports are good. And with this pandemic, we've all struggled with not being in sports and being in our regular daily lives. So I just wanted to give you this. This commendation is one of the highest honors that we can give as senators to a civilian. And it's for people who do more than the average person and are going to exceptional means to do good for the community. So I'd like to present this to you, this commendation, as well as a coin, kind of a commemorative coin as well. But this is an amazing feat, and again, as I said, I know you didn't do it for the accolades, but you certainly deserve it, and this is really an amazing feat. So congratulations, and thank you for doing it. It's the old linebacker in you, you know?
Old.
Well, I was a running back when I was little, but I got to ninth grade. The coach said, baseball player, let me see you throw a football. So I was a quarterback, so I was the guy that faked it in the gym. You know, the coach came in and I'd say, I'm next. You're the guy that actually lifted, right? But it's really good to see you. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And say absolutely. Yeah, I was going to put you on the spot, but I gave you up. So, first of all, thank you very much. I mean, it's humbling. Certainly, like I said, I didn't do it for any accolation or adulation. But you know, I learned a lot on that journey. I interacted with a lot of people from a lot of different communities, a lot of communities that are different than each other. And I think that was my major goal, is to make sure that every community, no matter what it looks like or how it's made up of, feels that they're part of this topic that we need to address. And it's really just to open the eyes to people, and hopefully a lot more will come from it. And I hope to do more through my nonprofit in that regard. But one of the kind of most important situations that happened for me happened on my first day. I had just gotten to Sayville, and I was on my way to Connecticut, and I had to finish up at Central Islip. And right around leaving Sayville, I started to get 2 large blisters on the bottom of my feet. I mean, they were large and they were painful. And I got to Connecticut, and there was a woman that I used to work with who was there just to support me. I didn't know she was coming. And I sat down on the curb, and I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I drank a bottle of water, and I was talking to her for a little bit, and I couldn't get up from the curb. My body was just shutting down, my feet hurt, and I literally wanted to quit. And it was the first time I really wanted to quit because I was in so much pain. And I was on social media, as everybody who's followed knows, and that was where there was one quote up there about, I'm done, I'm broken, I don't know if I need help. I literally posted that on social media. And I started to walk, and I had to go to Central Islip, and I got on Vets Highway on the service road, or not the service road, the side of the road with oncoming traffic coming at me. And all of a sudden, the car starts barreling towards me with these arms out of the window. And it happened to be Jaden Keeley, one of our former basketball players, with his mom and his little brother and sister. And I was a little stunned at the time, and they pulled up, and I said, what are you doing here? And his mom said, we were at my mother's house in Connecticut, and we saw your message that you needed help, and we're here to help you. And I was just like, I got a breath of air, and I took a picture, and I said, thank you so much. And I walked, and they laughed, and I walked a little further, and the 2 blisters on my feet popped, and all the pain went away right after they visited. And I kept walking down Vets Highway to turn onto Suffolk Avenue, which is the way to Central Islip, and all of a sudden this lady in a mask started running up to me. And she goes, hi, I'm Sheila. And I don't know Sheila. And I was a little scared. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, somebody just turned this walk onto me on social media, and I saw you needed help. I came to walk with you. And I'm like, oh my God, that's like incredible. So she started walking with me. I introduced myself, and she introduced herself, and her husband joined us, and we were walking.
And I had lost 3 pair of glasses up to that point as I was walking, because I have to use my glasses to post. And where her husband says, well, you can have my glasses. And he gave me his glasses. And then a few minutes later, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law showed up, and they said, we're here to help, we'll walk with you. So Sheila and her husband left, and my brother-in-law walked with him while my sister-in-law drove. And we got to the corner of Carlton to make the right onto CI, and 2 women pull up in an SUV, and they're beeping their horns, and my brother-in-law goes, I think they're there for you. And I'm like, I don't know who they are. And the lady leaves her car in the middle of the road, runs out from the driver's seat, and says, hey, Coach Stode, I'm here to walk with you. And it happened to be a student that I had 15 years ago in my old district, and she walked with me. And it was just like, that was just one of many, many experiences that I had, whether it would be when talking to people in communities or meeting people or people walking with me. And it really put it all together to me as a human, as a dad, as an educator, like how important, communication and asking for help and collaborating and doing all the things that we should be doing in schools for all of our kids, regardless of what they look like, where they come from, how much money they have in their family, or what their situation is. Whatever identity it is, we need to focus on it. So hopefully this is a step in the better direction with mental health, and I cannot thank you enough, because the board and Dr. Missouri, your initiative of mental health was the first factor in me coming up with this crazy idea. So I do appreciate that, and I appreciate the support, and certainly the support of the community, which I think was great, and really brought the community together, which is wonderful to see. And the last thing I'd just like to say is, I had so many kids from St. Richard's and elsewhere who've reached out, current students, former students, who said, hey, thank you, or I had a depression and I didn't tell anybody, and it's opened up a lot of conversations, and I think it's going to help us in the long run in our community. So, thank you. Oh.
Yeah, and you know what, Jeremy, and the one thing that other thing I always point out is that when I walked with Jeremy from that last stretch with those kids from West Hampton to the firehouse, Jeremy was struggling. I mean, there were times when he was stopping, and he was in a lot of physical pain. It was amazing when we got to the firehouse, his pace quickened, he was upright, and he made that last mile like a champ. And I think that emphasizes that idea that if you are not alone and you have the support of others, you can really accomplish anything. So, Jeremy, once again, congratulations. Senator Palmer, we can't thank you enough for being here and offering that token to Jeremy. And we do hope that the message that people don't have to walk alone really is out there. So, thank you all. Our next presentation is a presentation that we're going to be making, myself and Dr. Meyer. And if anyone who's here just for Jeremy, that's fine. It's probably a good time to go. I won't be insulted. But we are going to be making a presentation about some of the things that we're doing for social emotional learning. At the last board meeting, there were some questions about the pair assessment, so we thought it would be great if we could. Thank you again, Senator. And happy holidays. Thank you. We thought it would be great if we did a little bit more information about the actual pair assessment, and again, the need for to support our students in social emotional learning. So if we could cue that one up, we're going to go over and do that. Back to Mike. We can cue that one up. We're going to go over and do that. Back to Mike. We can cue that one up. We're going to go over and do that. Back to Mike. We can cue that one up. We're going to go over and do that. Back to Mike. We can cue that one up. We're going to go over and do that. Back to Mike. Thank you. All right, so as I said, this presentation is a little bit about the community to support student social emotional well-being, as well as some of the things we're doing to do just that.
All right, so as I said, this presentation is a little bit about the,
Again, we talk about this, support student social emotional well-being, our board of education to do just that.
so as I said, this presentation is a little bit about the, again, we talk about this, support student social
So why is our board of education, well, I'll tell you, every superintendent is a little bit, and that survey comes out, and this is the year, we talk about, identify how back in 2012, mental health superintendent was not on the radar, and our survey comes out, in 2013, more than a third of the high school students have persistent feelings of sadness. Prior to the pandemic, we're higher students rates of anxiety and stress, upwards of more than 20% have some level of depressive episode. 16, 17-year-olds, rises with age, 16 to 17-year-olds, so 30%, one out of 5 children in our high school had experienced in 2019 depression. 17-year-olds, according to the national statistics. One out of 5 children in our high school. Just Friday, the report came out from the U.S. Surgeon General. And that report is called Protecting Youth Mental Health. And I have it on my, with my paper right there. So it's called Protecting Mental Health, and U.S. Surgeon General provided the report. So it's a 2021 college impression. And these are some of the things that they talk about. Again, we don't have good data about mental health or the mental impact of the pandemic on mental health. But what we are seeing is the data is starting to come out. So according to the Surgeon General, since the pandemic began, we've been psychological distress among our students, anxiety, depression, and what's the report? 25% of students experiencing depression, as I said, was 20%. According to this report now, that was 25%. 20% experiencing anxiety, one side anxiety, one more depression. 2019, 1,300 students passed or females reported persistent feelings of sadness. 20%. That's how you know how the data for daughters have seen. 90% more daughters, 3 of them made it through high school. For my daughter, the junior year of high school, I struggle with it, like that. So I'm here to say that we have 6 why we need to emphasize social emotional learning. There is a tremendous growth for us to emphasize social emotional learning. 1,500 students in elementary school deserve us to provide them for that attention. Not only that, New York State actually passed education law 1904 that basically makes it law that we need to include mental health wellness in our curriculum. Not only that, New York State actually passed so collaborative for academic, social, and emotional learning is basically the organization that is at the forefront of this. It provides many resources. There are a wealth of resources that support the schools. Scientific and social learning. And basically, it starts with the competencies. And it starts with, if you look at the orange area, students really need to understand themselves and understand their own feelings. And then they need to be able to manage it starts with the competencies themselves. And when they talk about things, it's not about words, it's about direction. Things come from that. And then it moves, we moves over to the green area, where students then, once they have an understanding of their own emotions and their own then they need to be able to look outward, and they need to look at social impact. And then be aware that other people also have the same kind of feelings they have. And once they understand that, they can build relationships. Then of course, you get the idea of once that goes, then you may be identified by the people who also have the society. And one of the things that the psychological personality blocking has this system here where you can see it starts with self, moves out of the classroom, and then school, and then the larger families and caregivers, and the community. So it kind of goes out from the center of society. And that's how you see the real expanding system here. But this is important because when you look at the New York State framework for mental health instruction, it aligns perfectly with the CASA framework. The New York State mental health instruction and social emotional learning benchmark that New York State put out in the curriculum framework is focused on three goals. First is self-management, that's orange section. The CASA framework. Then the relationships. So the New York State resource management, which is really about that benchmark. So these three goals align exactly with the CASA framework. This is one of using that framework as a model for teaching social emotional learning. Then the relationships. So the New York State resource. So what's the big deal? Why are we talking about social emotional learning? What are the Whenever I taught these presentations and when I said about training the journey, there is no help without mental health. But when we focus on social emotional learning in school, there are improvements in social skills, emotional skills, their attitude, their adjustment, and definitely in academic performance skills. But there are also long-term benefits that students benefit from as well in their life. Clearly, all of these things, reduction in some of these anxiety, depression disorders, all of these kind of things, the ability to manage what's going on in our things clearly are benefits. Clearly, all of these things. So the links, the genes from social emotional that stand out. As I said, social emotional skills, all of these kinds of things. A 2011 meta-analysis of 213 studies clearly points to very specific research on this. So the links about yes, we talk about depression, seizures, but when we talk about the genes on achievement, 11 percentage point difference that we are seeing studies like that for schools who implement effective social emotional learning. About yes, we talk about clearly reduction in conduct problems, reduction in emotional distress, our benefits. 11% that we have strong social emotional learning. The 2017 research study demonstrates not only the short term, but the long term gains. So you have 82 different programs for examiners, over 97,000 students, kindergarten to middle school were looked at, 2 years after build positive attitudes, positive pro-social behaviors. But one of the things we see later is less common problems, less incarceration, less reliance on public welfare, emotional distress, less drug use, and all of those are lasting things to utilize stress emotional management. And that's what this kind of is. Students are more likely to graduate from high school, pursue more rigorous coursework, they are less likely to become academic, become utilized, less, like I said, incarceration. All of these things are positive outcomes that are directly correlated to pursuing more rigorous coursework, introduction of So when we do these things, we need to build on something that we generally understand in schools where children are at, in that national where children are at, reading, and when we try to teach them, we get a baseline, and we say we're going to set some goals, and we're going to have to generally, well, when we're talking about social emotional, we need to understand where kids are at, so that when kids come into our schools, it's not just here's where they are now, we understand the other sets of concepts that those are the academic components. So when we research this, one of the tools that we thought we would look at is this idea of comparison. Turn it over to Dr. Meyer to talk a little bit about the data systems that we hope to support these boards. One of the tools that we thought we would look at is this idea of comparison.
So as Dr. Sarah said, over the past year across the country, enrollment has increased because the research is confirming what we know intuitively about our children. We're seeing it across public sectors, parents, employers, principals, teachers, and the students themselves that are screaming that we believe social emotional learning is critical. So in alignment with all of this research, our board education goals, and what our older teachers are saying about our students, we put this instrument we piloted over the past last spring and fall. So it provides students with the opportunity to have safe place for student voice on their social emotional learning. So the first screener is called holistic student assessment, and we also deliver a site-specific questionnaire that promotes social emotional learning readiness by providing the district with individualized student portraits as well as building-wide and district-wide portraits. We're currently using this data in our board of education system to refine and to strengthen the comprehensive plan for social emotional learning that we have in similar to as well as building-wide and district-wide portraits. We're currently using this data. So CARE stands for Partnership for Education and Resilience. This board was founded in 1999 at Harvard Medical School and Harvard Graduate School for Education. And in 2007, it became the CARE Institute. So from 2007, we have collected data in this area. And they formed with the intention of improving the lives of children by increasing their opportunities for success, by connecting also short students there. We're not able to see their individual input. Even the folks that care do not look at individual students' answers to questions to allow them to feel comfortable in their responses. But they do create individualized student pictures, and that is what our educators are able to access when they're digesting this information. So in January, Dr. Sarah and I will be presenting the data to the students and attendees. We want them to know that every member of the faculty and staff is interested in their social and emotional well-being and share what we've learned about their responses. So in January, Dr. Sarah and I will be presenting the data to the students and attendees. So this database represents over 100,000 students. The data is used to exceed national norms. And in addition to our local work, the aggregate student data from partner districts in the CARE database is used to help stay relevant in our work. So for example, CARE has been analyzing the data not just here at CMUFSD, but across all of the partners in the database to identify trends in connection with the COVID-19 pandemic. Under Santa Maria, when we compare our student data to full data, we're seeing that the number of students in our district with significant challenges is about 6% less than is typical in other districts. And so our administrative team sat down to really analyze our data. What we concluded was that our efforts in social emotional learning are making an impact. If we're 6% lower in those challenges already, I think we really need to strengthen our program. We really feel that this program is making a difference in schools. So we concluded was that our efforts. So how can we be assured that CARE instrument is right for us? It's rigorously validated. It's shown strong, reliable statistics. It has a negative coefficient of 0.7, which is basically anything about, 0.76 to 0.91. Anything about a 7 is considered strong and reliable. It's checked validated against other instruments as well. So, additionally, not only are the stats sound, but when we shared this with our teachers, they shared that the things that CARE is telling us about our students is intuitively what our faculty members see in their students in the classroom on a daily basis. And so it's very comforting to know that this instrument, this database, is confirming what we as educators are sensing and feeling in the classroom, and it's providing us with the tools to help students address these challenges. So the HSA measures the use domain space data. I'm not going to go through all of them, but what I did do was I highlighted the ones, and a little bit also yellow because of our color issue. I highlighted the ones that are identified as strengths and challenges for CMUFSD. So emotional control should actually be green, along with empathy and relationships with peers. So those are strengths of our students as identified in their own student voice. And then we're seeing that the top two challenges in our student body, again, the district as a whole, 6 through 12, are assertiveness and academic motivation. And so after forming a committee, when we're digging into this data, these are the conversations we're having. What can we do at the building level to help students feel more comfortable or feel more academically motivated? What are things that we can do programmatically? What are things that we can do for individual students who are having these challenges? And as you can see, Dr. Sarah was talking about the CASTLE framework before. The CARE assessment is completely aligned with the CASTLE framework as well as the So now that we've spent a little bit of time talking about CARE, we do want to assure you that in any assessment that we make about our students, we always use the multi-measure approach. It is not just CARE that is giving us the information about our students. It's family and educator reports, it's the classroom observation, and it's that self-report, which is the focusing on some of the same challenges at this information networking and build programs and to discuss best practices for supporting our
Combination of these things, which are telling the same story, revealing
So, in conclusion, I think it's important to say that this work is very meaningful. It's aligned with our ID learner profile attributes. At Sun Mauritius, we're balanced, we're reflexive, we're caring, and just as we want our young people to exhibit these attributes, we ourselves believe in them to inform our practice. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to using the information here to provide the best learning environment for students. Thank you for your support. We look forward to using
Okay, so, yeah, and I think, so, Dr. Martin, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Yeah, the pair assessment clearly is a tool, and as Dr. Meyer indicated, we're actually going to be going and doing something similar to this to all of the students to talk to them more about what this is, why we're doing it, and provide them with the information about what the strengths of our student bodies are and what some of the challenges are. To be really clear, this certainly is not any kind of a diagnostic tool whatsoever, but all it does is allow students to self-identify those things that are their strengths and their challenges. And we do believe that this is, very valuable information that will serve to help our teachers to better know our students in their strengths and challenges moving forward.
I just want to jump in.
Yep.
The thing I know, I really was really glad to hear that. I feel like, the kids take these and then it's kind of like, well, what happens with it? And, the adults look at it, but it's our students that we're looking at. So after you guys are going to see them, I think it's really, makes me very happy, very excited, because it gets some feedback too.
And we're also working on, making sure that we can provide really good feedback to parents as well. Any parents that ask, with these kinds of things, when parents want to come in, they sit down, go through the report, talk about what the strengths and challenges of their own children are. We are absolutely more than happy to do that. And, really, again, it's about the partnership, making sure that we're all on the same page with this.
Would guidance be the best place if you wanted to follow up with that? Where would you actually?
I think if you call it building level administration, we could, we would make arrangements. I know at the middle school, Dr. Reggio and Fabian, worked with a couple parents, showed, actually Mr. Carter, who was here last meeting, they had a great meeting, and we even recruited her to the curriculum committee. So that worked out really well.
So, Ron, if I could follow
yes.
up. So one of the questions, I guess it was last meeting and the meeting before, one of the questions was, can parents see the answers to these questions? And if I understand correctly from your presentation, nobody sees the answers to the questions.
Correct.
Nobody has that.
It's like any other kind of assessment like this, where for any one indicator there may be a bank of 70 questions on that one indicator, and in any particular administration, 4 or 5 questions might be asked to validate that the student responses. And so, yeah, it's very difficult to know which particular questions. And the bank of resources, the bank of questions that exists is voluminous, and it is proprietary to the instrument itself. Any other questions from the board? All right, we have one more presentation. Again, it's important to keep the community updated on, some of the things that we're doing, especially, we did receive federal funds, ARP, the American Rescue Plan funds, and part of that was for enrichment programming. And so Ms. Laughlin is going to share, she's been working closely with the principals and the administrative team to put together the enrichment program and funds. And part of that was for enrichment programming. And so Ms. Laughlin is going to share.
So if you
she's been
recall
working
back
closely
in
with
the
principals
spring
and
when we were doing the
administrative
budget,
team to put
there were
together
influx of cash coming through the various funding
and
sources.
funds.
One is the
And part of that was for enrichment programming. And so Ms. Laughlin is going to share.
So the
she's been
entire
working
budget
closely with
had
principals and
operations on
administrative
it,
team
but
to
it
put
was like
together
burning cash and savings. And with that, there's also summer programs, attaching the money loss and providing some back to school enrichment programs. This funding is the entire budget of 2024. Operations on it, it was burning cash like for summer, only summer programs, attaching the money loss and providing some. So this past summer, we did offer the turnaround in school, which we were really good to give some cash funding and try to provide some funding. So Kate, we did offer some really much during the summer time. So this past summer, we did also have the provide some principal support to the field, and feel about the doctoral and various programs we did over there. Continue on in the summer. This past summer, we held our own summer we've done outsourcing to clinical programs, but it's also just third run programs to provide that facility and facilities and as well as so we still have a credit covering program and about 49 credit program, but it's also just third providers as a result of that program during that summer. So we did have it separate. We obviously summer we start offering a couple of things with that program, but people don't really start to have some however, the second for two months we have enrollment, where they were very interested in providers, and then that was critical. And we had worked with council on that, program went out to open that program at that level, and actually, it's good, and we did go and start getting that out there to parents. A lot of people already found it coming from elsewhere. Well, there was a project within the workshop that was provided to our students by one of our guidance over the summer. So as we're planning now for summer 22, we know we have the money in the programs that we have to run. We are going to continue to pay for this parent program, for hours and within that program, now that we can start doing that workshop early on. Design of small summer school will continue to be offered here in Bishop. We'll continue to expand our offerings, and that's not going to be mostly student led. We're going to be instructed as well as covering as well as additional support that my district can help us do. State is a richness camp will be offered, and we'll be offering the multiple sections. We will get enrollment out early spring so parents have time to take a look at it and get registration going. And then 9 through 12 enrichment programs, we are looking forward to expanding that and offering more programs for our enrichment children. And our building administration will get different ways of offering that, knowing a lot of these children are working during the regular workday, how to be offering some of these programs to their kids. So we're trying to get creative on how we can target all students and get them involved. So with regard to learning loss, we did provide our staff with the funding to do the research. We have academic assessment support at each building. We hired a DML teacher for the high school, and we have hired additional mental health support that is provided district-wide for through funding. So the ethics and emergency is what we're currently working on. This is now working on the real substance. Today's agenda is in January, we will be seeing more and more questions coming through as we're developing the program. So they're kind of faced with a big challenge, and we do also a lot of programs down here with the clubs and for anybody to get involved in. We're also trying to connect high school students with our elementary building and our middle school building. So if you go through here, we may start seeing being pushed down into those lower levels to get those students involved and helping. So again, our timeline, we're still in the development phase of the pictures of the enrichment. We are hoping we will start seeing these programs run starting in January after the holiday break. Lakeview, as I said, is exploring some different programs for the morning options. Summer enrichment, summer DNL enrichment will take place this spring. We will begin working with Slope to get those registration forms forward and approved so that we can get them posted on the website and out to our families. And the high school summer school enrollment will take place around late May, early June, based on the student forms. So everything that you see here, our actual budget that's been submitted to the state and grant application, the original plan that was approved by the board back in July is all posted up on our website. We will continue to post updates as we get them. And it can be found, so the link is under the business operations. The original plan, all we've been able to apply for two portions of it. The state, the federal government, the state is working with them to complete our application. Two parts are going to apply for and approved. We're waiting for the release of the third part so that we can apply for the funding, but we also get to move forward. As we're not going to cut back on anything that we're doing, we are following the timeline and conversations with the state that they are giving us verbal approval based on having the actual application prepared yet. Which is that we're trying to do that. Any questions from the board? They are giving us verbal approval based on having the actual application prepared yet. Which is that we're trying to do that.
Okay, so we do have a couple of other things to report out. We have some committee reports, and so we'll talk a little bit about Dr. Meyer chaired the curriculum committee, and essentially we, as she indicated in her presentation, talked a lot about the pair assessment and some of the things, conversations around what we're doing with that, similar to what we talked about today. The DEI committee will be meeting tomorrow, and Dr. Soto chairs that. That's a very large committee, so that does meet via Zoom. And that is 3:30 tomorrow. Correct. And basically, at the first meeting, they discussed, or the last meeting, they discussed a lot of the things that have been happening. We have our DEI liaisons in our buildings, talked about some of the things that were presented at Superintendent's Conference Day, that the DEI liaisons are presenting at faculty meetings and in the buildings to facilitate many of these things. They discussed the No Place for Hate designations in the buildings and moving toward all three buildings being recognized. And in general, the plan for them all. Lots of really good energy around that committee, and I thank Dr. Soto for doing a great job with that. Our emergency preparedness committee was chaired by Mr. Ritchie, who's here, and I'm excited to make an announcement kind of related to that. Actually, two announcements. One, we have welcomed a new director of security, Mr. Chris Barella, who actually is here today at the basketball game. I'm wondering how we're doing. Are we winning? Anybody know? But anyway, he did start this yesterday, and he is now serving in the capacity of security director. Tough shoes to fill, but we know he's going to do a great job. I feel very confident about that. He will be working with Dennis and Mr. Ritchie and the Emergency Preparedness Committee. Currently, they're looking at things like bringing first aid and CPR to our staff, and looking at cyberbullying and some other things. But lots of good conversation about making sure that we provide a very safe environment. As an aside, I did have an opportunity today. I was invited, along with a couple of my colleagues, to meet Mr. Rodney Harrison, who has been recommended to the legislature in Suffolk County as the new police commissioner. And so it was very refreshing to have that opportunity to meet with him prior to even being, formally approved, and really get a sense for his feelings about the relationship with schools. And it was very refreshing to see. He has an extraordinary resume, lots of great experiences, and he's somebody that is very much passionate about engaging with young people in our schools. He seemed to be very supportive of the SRO program and many of the things that we feel very strongly about to ensure that there's trust building and a true partnership with our Suffolk County Police Department. So that is something that, always is, we want to make sure that that transition goes well. And I think, if you ask me, it looks like the county executive has made a great choice there. Our Facilities Advisory Committee met. We did talk a little bit about the front of Clayton Huey and trying to get the work done there. We are working towards making sure that all the masonry work and will be repaired and making sure that it is safe moving forward. We are also talking about plans for a larger facility infrastructure work. Clearly, we have work done in a capital outlay project. That's a $100,000 aidable project that was budgeted for this year. We have also been talking about the need for down the road to potentially pass, number one, a capital reserve so that we can start to put money into a plan towards larger facilities needs, and ultimately down the road, likely having to move toward a community bond to do the larger infrastructure work that will be necessary. So that is something that we certainly will be moving toward. Further, we did get some more information out of state ed about our energy performance contract that I think we're looking like we're in the final stages of those approvals, as there's just a few more documents that need to be submitted to move forward with that project. Did I hit everything? Okay. And then lots of stuff. Our Health and Wellness Committee reviewed the particular presentation that we had done on the peer assessment and spent some time looking at that and talking about some of the things we're doing to support wellness. Ms. Fabian and Ms. Kavanaugh are pushing into phys ed classes to talk to students about the global outcomes of HSA, but as we said, Dr. Meyer and I will be talking very specifically to the kids about these things. Peer leadership class and the high school has been coordinating efforts at the elementary to connect between the elementary and middle school, and thanks for our social workers for supporting those efforts as well. And then the technology committee. Wow. The technology committee. Dr. Soto chairs the technology committee, and we're basically actually I walked into the district office today and there was a large panel smart TV there finally arriving. Production delays have been the bane of everybody's existence, I think, or supply chain delays. But those are finally coming in, so we're getting those in. And the last 250 Chromebooks at elementary are also getting deployed. So we are looking at final revisions to our tech plan to make sure that everything we do to provide that 21st century learning environment for our kids is sustainable moving forward into the future. The next meeting that they will have is January 11th in person at district office. I think that's all. We're busy.
Thank you. Thank you for all of that and all of the presentations. That brings us to questions and comments regarding tonight's agenda, Harlan? None? Okay. Approval of minutes. The Board of Ed is asked to accept the minutes. Following meetings is prepared by the district clerk. Minutes of the meeting of the Board of Education on November 17th, 2021. Motion? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes. Motion carries unanimously.
Financial reports. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, accepts the following financial reports: the internal claims audit report for November 2021, the treasurer's report November 2021, as well as the budget transfers. Motion?
Motion. I'm sorry. Motion. Second. All in favor?
Discussion?
Discussion.
Yeah, just digging deep here, Carrie, just got one question on the treasurer's report. Expenditures, comparison to last year, I noticed it's off by 2 million, almost on debt service, principal and interest. And I'm assuming that's because we had a bond call.
That is correct.
Thank you.
All in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously.
Consent agenda. Be it resolved, the motion to approve the consent agenda items 9A through 11A.
Motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor?
I have a question about number 10. So all the property tax exemptions, those are the standard ones we do every year?
Yeah, we just, as of last year, the town notified us it's something that we have to do annually.
Got it.
Yep.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries unanimously.
So you're on general public.
General public comments.
But with nobody's on
You
there.
got it there already? So I was confused. Okay, fair enough. So nobody, no general public comments. Okay, so motion to adjourn? Motion second?
Second.
All in favor? Yes, motion carries unanimously. That brings us to the informational items. Our next meeting is December 15th, 2021, here. Executive session is at 6 o'clock, action meeting approximately 7 o'clock. Thank you so much, everybody, for being out tonight. Happy holidays. Enjoy your time with family and friends and all that good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Yeah.